Hello and welcome to the Milan Talk podcast. I'm your host, Amit Paul, and what a superb result we're looking back at as Milan ran riot and came storming back to secure a 4-2 win over Juventus as our brilliant run of form continues. In this pod, we'll look at some of our defensive failings, a couple of key points behind the comeback, player ratings, and then, of course, your full-time thoughts on Twitter. So let's kick things off with the two goals that we conceded first of all. And it was pretty disappointing the way that we did concede them. The first image here shows Rabiot's goal. The initial problem begins with how easily, in many ways, he was able to break forward out of midfield and into the space between the midfield and defence. Nutmeg Theo, Benacer and Kessie caught out of position, and then the biggest failing for me in this situation was the two centre-halves. Now, Romagnoli and Kaya have been brilliant since the restart. They're forming a really solid partnership. There is a really good understanding between them, and we've seen that on multiple occasions. But on this occasion, there was a breakdown. Higuain makes a very clever run to his credit, but the problem is that both of them go with him. And that ultimately creates the space for Rabiot to cut inside on his favoured left foot, and credit to him for what was a brilliant strike. But the issue I have is with both Romagnoli and Kaya both going with Higuain. For me, Kaya sees that run, he's standing behind Higuain, so he's the one that should track it, and Romagnoli should be the one who goes with Rabiot and avoids a situation where he's free and able to cut inside on his left foot. One or the other, but for me, Romagnoli is probably more at fault in this occasion. But I just thought that was a disappointing element of how these two defended the first goal when they have been so good since the restart. So that was one disappointing element of the way we started the second half. And then, of course, the second image shows just a real big mix-up. They both make a hash of it, they both collide, and ultimately the ball goes over both their heads, and Ronaldo is presented with a one-on-one situation with Donnarumma, which, unsurprisingly, he took to give Juve a 2-0 lead. For me, this isn't as worrying. This is just a simple breakdown in communication, and they've both gone for the same ball, and they've just made a complete mess of it. I think the first one is something that you can analyse and rectify and work on in training and kind of build that understanding with each other. But for me, this second one was just a bit of a freak sort of mistake from the pair, and I don't think we've seen it previous to this, and we probably won't see it again. Unfortunately, it didn't prove to be decisive and costly for us, so we got away with one. But again, you don't want to see it happen, but for me, the first goal is something that the two can work on in particular, more so than the second. So yeah, a couple of defensive failings from the pair, but overall, again, I think they did give us a solid platform. Aside from those two incidents, I thought they were really good again, and hopefully they can put these kind of issues behind them, but also learn from them as well and improve as they have been throughout the restart. Now, moving on to our goals, a couple of things that are really impressive and quite important to point out at this stage, and you'll see it in the next image as well. We're kind of building in these triangles. I've seen this a lot in the last few games, and this was just an important and decisive example of that because it led to a goal. Brilliant link-up play prior to this situation presenting itself. There was some really good patient build-up play. We were switching it from side to side, moving, shifting Juve across from left to right, and eventually we went back out to the left with Kessie, plays the pass to Calhanoglu, who then passes it to Ibrahimovic, lays it off Kessie, and full credit to Frank, kept his composure, showed a clinical edge to his play in the final third, which we've not said a lot since he joined us, and he put away a really good chance and took his goal really well. But it's just the intricate triangles that we're now creating in attack, on and off the ball, and you'll see it off the ball in a second, but on the ball, it's just a really impressive way of breaking teams down, and we've seen it elsewhere with Liverpool and the other teams that have used it so effectively, and I think Pioli's tapping into that and showing his tactical know-how, find ways to break teams down. It looks simple, but it really is difficult to kind of implement and execute successfully. Calhanoglu's in space, he draws out Cuadrado, that creates the opportunity for Ibrahimovic to come short, get the ball. Kessie, he's able to make the run to support Ibrahimovic, and then the space opens up for him to take full advantage of that opportunity. So I thought that was a really impressive build-up play to the goal, and very well structured and very well thought out from Milan. It wasn't just a mere fluke that we were able to break Juve down in the way that we did. And then the second image here shows the same element and the same sort of idea off the ball when we're pressing, Alexandro plays an absolutely horrendous ball across the pitch, which I think it was either Çalhanoğlu or Bonaventura, I think, intercepted and then laid it off for Rebic to score the fourth. But it's just a triangle again. You've got Leao pressing the man on possession. You've got Benacer pushing well up the pitch as we changed our tactics again with Ibrahimovic off the pitch, Rebic on up top. It changes the way that we play. We're able to press and put pressure on higher up the pitch, and that's why Benacer is in that position. And you've got Rebic cutting off the supply chain to Szczesny and Bonucci if it goes back even further. That forces Alexandro into a massive mistake. And then as you see in the next image, that sets up Rebic eventually, who puts it away brilliantly with a fantastic finish. And if you've been watching the pods in the recent weeks, you know full well about the Rebic zone. And yet again, this is an example of that. He has been absolutely brilliant at finding this kind of space in the box. Now, granted, it came from a poor pass and Juve defensively were out of shape and all over the place. But he was able to find a pocket of space in the box, made himself an option for Bonaventura, took it first time and absolutely smashed it home to make it 4-2 and put the game to bed. So taking these opportunities, being clinical, has been absolutely crucial to our improved run of form since the restart. And this is just another example of how we've both been effective on and off the ball. And hopefully that continues in the last 7 games, because it's been a joy to watch us. We're playing with an identity, we're playing with a structure, we're playing with class, we're looking good on and off the ball. It's not a fluke, it's all very well thought out, it's all planned, and it's all very structured and organised from Pioli down to the players. So some really big positives aside from those defensive lapses. I thought there were some really big positives to take away from the game, and just absolutely delighted even today. So some of the key talking points that I came out of the game with were the level of respect that I've got for Pioli just continues to grow. Now, we've seen the reports during the day, like yesterday, where it was suggested that Ranić is essentially a done deal. He's going to sign a 3-year contract. He's going to take over from next season as coach, and he could well take over as sporting director as well. Comments from Ibrahimovic and Maldini after the game would suggest that that is the way we're heading, because it was all very defeatist. They sound like they're on their way out. They know what's coming. And Pioli has had to deal with the same thing as well. But the reason why I've got so much more respect for him, and I've just commend the job that he's doing, is because he's ignoring all that talk about him losing his job, being replaced. A man is coming in to replace him, and he's just doing a brilliant job of sticking to the principles, sticking to the focus of doing the best for Milan, achieving our objectives this season, and just putting together a really solid chemistry in the team and playing a really, really good brand of football. So massive respect for Pioli, and I just hope that he's able to finish with a flourish in the next 7 games, if this is indeed his last 7 games in charge. Again, substitutions were crucial. We've seen it time and time again in the last few games, whether it was Paqueta and Salamakers coming on against Roma. But Pioli got his changes spot on again in this one. Çalhanoğlu's introduction was crucial. I think Paqueta was struggling in the first half, so that change was key. I thought Leao came on and did another brilliant job, decisive impact with another goal. Bonaventura came on and also played a role. Just spot on from Pioli. I think he's making the right changes at the right time. He's making the right tweaks when needed. And for me, even though Sarri got the better of him for 60 minutes, he ultimately outwitted him in the last 20 to 25 when we went on that crazy spree of goals and got the win. So credit to Pioli for his tactical switches as well. Great character shown from the players. Superb comeback. You know, they deserve a big pat on the back, because 2-0 down with half an hour to go. We've just played Lazio 3 days ago in Rome. That would have been a very taxing game for all concerned. And it could have been easy for us to drop our heads, concede defeat, and start thinking about Napoli on the weekend. We didn't. We kept plugging away. The penalty was a massive turning point, gave us a lifeline, built confidence, and gave us a belief that we could turn it around. But the players still had to go out and finish the job, and they did so brilliantly in a matter of 18 minutes. So I was really impressed with the character, desire, and the commitment from the players. And just generally, brilliant since the restart. But the job's not done. Napoli on Sunday, we've got to switch our focus quickly to that. We've enjoyed last night, fantastic. We all should enjoy that, because that was a really big moment, really big performance and result. But switch the focus to Napoli now on Sunday, and we've got to keep this run going and make sure we get the 5th or 6th spot in Serie A. So belief, confidence, desire, all should be at a real high within the squad right now. It's imperative we take those elements and keep our focus heading into the weekend. So Brilliant stuff all round. Moving on to the player ratings then, let's kick things off with Gigio Donnarumma. 7.5 for him. Couldn't prevent the goals. I didn't think he could do much with either goal, but somewhere amidst the madness of that 18 minutes of 4 goals for us, he produced an absolutely crucial save to deny Daniele Rugani. I think we were 3-2 ahead at that time, and that may well get lost in the grand scheme of things, but it shouldn't, because it was a key moment in the game, and that just shows that he's able to step up and make an impact when we need him to, even when he's not necessarily too involved in the game. So brilliant from him. Andrea Conti gets a 7. I think he's starting to deliver consistently now. Yes, there's room for improvement still, but his concentration levels are not slipping as they did. I think he's looking a bit more solid defensively, and he's trying to get forward to offer width when possible. Like I said, still areas to work on, but I think he's very much improved since the restart, and there's a bit more solidity about his play now, which is good to see. Simon Kjaer gets a 6. Again, as I said earlier, he was enjoying a good game, but then he's partly at fault for both goals. Him and Romagnoli will have to bounce back from it, which is also a disappointing element, with Romagnoli getting a 5.5. I think, like I said earlier, he's been more at fault for the first goal, in my opinion. And apart from those situations, he was solid as well. But those were 2 big moments in the game, and thankfully they didn't cost us. But 5.5 for Romagnoli. 6.5 for Hernandez. Opening goal was a wake-up call for him, I think, in many ways, as he sprung to life and started to attack down the left flank with a bit more urgency. I still think he should have done a bit better stopping Rabiot. Should have been a bit more solid. Got stuck into the tackle, but really good performance apart from that. And I think it was decent all-round from him. Kessie, 7.5. I think he was tireless in midfield. I think he was brilliant. Very clever with his movement on and off the ball. Kept plugging away even though we fell 2 goals behind. Rewarded with his goal. Again, like I said, took it brilliantly, considering that we've been bemoaning his lack of composure in front of goal since he joined us pretty much. And that's hopefully showing some real belief now and confidence in his game to take it to the next level, both defensively and offensively. And I think this was a really good performance from him, again, as he has been showing some really good stuff since the restart. Ismail Benacer gets a 7. I lost count the number of times he broke up Juventus' possession, even when he got booked as well. Showed the same level of intensity and hunger to win the midfield battle. Not quite as influential as Kessie, in my opinion, but I think he also had a really good game. And the 2 of them combined are really, really producing a solid partnership for us, and a very important one. So 7 out of 10 for Benacer. Salamakers gets a 6. I think he did well to keep Danilo quiet. His work rate down the right side was important for us, but not quite as influential from an attacking point of view, which is obviously something that he's in the team for as well. So giving him a 6. Rebic, 7.5. Won the penalty that got us back into the game. Scored our 4th to wrap it up. And just a real problem for Juventus, both in terms of his ability to play off the front man, but more so when he's making those runs in the channels and in behind when he's playing up top. Just typifies and personifies our turnaround in many ways since January, his resurgence, the team's resurgence as a whole, and again, just really impressed with his impact. And he can show that he's able to produce off the bench, in the starting lineup, on the left, up top, wherever you put him, he's able to have an impact on the game. Lucas Paqueta gets a 6 out of 10. I think this was arguably Pioli's only mistake, as I think the matchup with Juan Cuadrado was all wrong. Paqueta was struggling, got booked, had to do far more defending than he should have had to, and I think he could have been played in the middle as opposed to out on the left to kind of take that matchup away. But again, got taken off at half time, and can't really argue with that decision because he was struggling. Zlatan Ibrahimovic gets a 7 out of 10. Brilliant penalty to get us back into the game, and his leadership and guidance, I think even you could see him on the bench in the second half when he was dictating and kind of helping out, coaching the players from the sidelines. That's priceless for the younger players, and I think very important on and off the pitch. Struggled at times to win his battle with Bonucci and was wasteful in possession at times as well. But overall, I think it's a lack of fitness as well that contributes to that. But he had his impact on the game, and that's ultimately what we need from him. Moving on to the substitutes then, Hakan Çalhanoğlu gets a 6.5. I called for it at half-time. I think, with Paqueta struggling particularly, I thought Çalhanoğlu could have a really positive impact on the game, and he did. Showed quality in attack at times, lifted the team, and it was obvious we found a different gear in our attack after he came on. So pleased with his efforts off the bench. And then Rafael Leao gets a 7 as well, another decisive contribution off the bench, scored the 3rd goal to put us ahead, and importantly now as well, I think he's starting to show the right attitude and desire as a whole as we chased the game and then looked to put it to bed. That was one key element that I think I've personally criticised him for a lot, and I think there's definite improvement in that regard. And then finally, Giacomo Bonaventura gets a 6.5. Important impact from the veteran, I feel. Showed his intelligence on and off the ball to help us secure the 3 points. So pleased with his impact as well. Calabria and Krunic came on, but lack of time on the pitch. So I've not given them a rating, but they both played a part in seeing out the win. Okay, so going on to your thoughts at full time. Brad at Spidey0816. Love the way we came back. Also love seeing Ibra on the sideline, still seemingly involved. 3 top 6 teams in the last 2 weeks that we've beaten. Brad's spot on. Like I said to you after the game, something that we spoke about during the break. We couldn't have envisaged that we'd win the 3 games against these 3 teams. We've done it in style, and just really, really pleased. Like I said, love the way that we came back as well, showed a different side to us, and Ibrahimovic proving his importance even when he's on the bench. So brilliant stuff. Marvin Diaz at Marvin Diaz 619. Crazy how we the fans have been calling for the 4-2-3-1 for years, and when we finally use it, we are this good. Proud of the team and Calabria impressed. Never want to see Conti again, and surely Pioli has earned his right to stay. To sack him now would be a huge mistake. Completely agree with you on the 4-2-3-1. Suits the players down to the ground. Everybody's looking much more comfortable and much improved in this system. And yeah, we called for it for a long time, and finally it's being used and used to good effect. I'm going to disagree with you on the Conti point. I do think that there is significant improvement from him since the restart. He's looking a lot more solid than he was before the break. Definitely still has lots to work on, but I think, as you see with the selections from Pioli as well, that he is making that right back slot his position ahead of Calabria now. So I would give him the nod, as I think he is a little bit more of a solid option at this point. And you're right, Pioli has really staked his claim to remain. It looks as though we've not really got a choice and Ranić's happening, so maybe this conversation is obsolete to a point, but you're right, we risk making a mistake in the sense that there's some real serious progress being made in this team now. The chemistry is great. There's an identity. There's a way of play. There's a style of play in the team. And to break that up potentially and kind of bring in a new face to implement his new ideas is a risk. And we're going to have to wait and see whether or not that is the case. And we end up making a decision that we could regret, or this is potentially what Pioli came in for, to steady the ship, get us back on track, stopgap solution, and get us ready for a Ranić. We'll have to wait and see, but full credit to Pioli for the job that he's doing. That's all I can say. And I hope the next 7 games are fruitful, we get the results that we want, and he ends in style as well, if it is to be the end of his tenure. Bori Olodemi at Bori Canes. Crazy comeback, crazy fight. This is what I like to see. Even if we lose, at least we fought. Not trying to speak so soon, but we really need to rethink this Ranić appointment. My gut is really telling me a Gianpaolo repeat. Hope I'm wrong. Kessie and Benacer equals brilliant. But again, Bori can't disagree with anything you've said. Brilliant to see the fight in the team and the way that we didn't give up after going 2-0 down. That was brilliant to see. And you're right. There is definitely a feeling that the Ranić appointment is a risk. There's a lack of experience for him abroad outside of Germany. I'm in favour of this type of revolution. I've said it many times before, in the sense that we've fallen short and we've been poor for many seasons now, and I think we need to change the culture and the infrastructure within the club to kind of revamp everything and get us hit the reset button properly in many ways, whereas previously we've been kind of like just doing patch jobs here and there, changing the coach and not really making the fundamental changes to get out of this cycle. But the way that we're playing now, the way that things are going with Pioli at the helm since January, it's such a difficult situation. It's surely giving Gazidis and the hierarchy a serious headache as to what we're going to do. But again, like I said, the reports are all suggesting that Ranić is a done deal and it is happening. So we're just going to have to wait and see whether or not that is the case, or there is a potential still for some kind of resolution to be reached. Amiro Delgado at Amiro D88. I love the resilience we showed. It did seem to me that Juve thought they had already had the game after 2-0 and slacked off, but I'm not complaining. Agree with that. Definitely dropped off, and we took full advantage of that. Eddie Milanista at Lord Double D. I was beyond overjoyed when Rebic scored that killer fourth goal, but when Calabria came on, I was so nervous. Like somehow he could be responsible for Milan losing. I said to myself, just stay out of the box and honestly away from Cristiano Ronaldo. I tweeted exactly the same thing. I did have a mini heart attack as Calabria was getting warmed up and taking his kit off to come on. Fortunately, I think we scored, didn't we? As you said, when Rebic scored that fourth goal. So luckily it was a moot point, but there was definite nervousness with Calabria getting ready to come on, but fortunately that wasn't an issue. Luca at LSD Italiano. Wow, agree with above. I really hope that they can find a way for Pioli and Ranić to coexist. We've beaten Roma, Lazio and Juve all by 2 goals or more. This has to count for something. Luca, completely agree with you. And like I said, the respect levels for Pioli I just keep going up and up and up with what he's having to deal with off the pitch and what he's doing on the pitch with the players. So hats off to him. At Thokson style, we controlled the tempo in the second half. Credit must be given to Kessie and Benacer. They brought stability in the middle of the park. Forza Milan, 100% agree with that. Those two have been absolutely brilliant since the restart, like I've said, and I will be dropping a analysis point piece later this week, just focusing on those two and the job that they're doing, so look out for that. But yeah, just brilliant from those two. At OH_JES, where are all the Kessie haters? We can't get rid of him. Always a tank in the midfield, puts in a great shift. Just needed time to develop and mature. He's still only just 23. Benacer, Kessie and Bakayoko midfield next year. What an engine. Do you know what? You make a really good point, and I've written this in a piece that I've done today. It's mad to think that Kessie is actually still only 23. He joined us when he was 20. I think he's now starting to mature and develop into a really, really good player. It helps that we're playing him in a position and a role that suits him more so than what we were doing previously when he was on the right of a 3-man midfield. And I think everything's clicking into place and suiting him. And that's why we're seeing him do much better. And we're using the strengths and attributes that he has to full effect. So, yeah, really impressed with Kessie. Ahmed Ali, it's been a long time since I've been proud of Milan. Forza Milan. Ahmed, completely agree with you. I said exactly the same thing after full time. That feeling after the game is something that we've been missing for a while, and hopefully there's much more to come of that. And Ben Atoga, ditto. The mentality is everything, literally. Agree with that as well. And then just a couple more points from you guys. Ivo A says, great points. I read all your tweets after the game and agree with 100% of everything. I would say that match last night was the best one for Kessie in a Milan shirt. An absolute beast and such an intelligent play when he scored for 2-2. I am mind blown, really. I think there is a real connection between Pioli and his players, which allows him to get the best out of them. Releasing him next month seems like such a big mistake right now. We did the same with Gattuso after just beginning to build something with the team instead of upgrading. We ruined everything and wasted some more energy and money to start over with Gianpaolo. Now, a mere 12 months later, we are about to make the exact same mistake. I do not get it. As I said to Ivo on Twitter, I think it's such a tricky one, as I've agreed with the need for a revolution for a long time and for long-term success. But it's so hard to ignore what's happening right now, the form that we're showing. And if we show this for the rest of the season, it really does provide a massive headache for the hierarchy to decide what to do. It might be too late. As I said, reports suggest that Ranić has signed a deal, but I think you've really got to reconsider if this form continues for the next 7 games especially. So let's see what happens. Brad, Spidey0816, we def have pieces to be a top team. I think that's the most aggravating thing when we don't perform, but I'm loving the Lazio and Juve performances. Shows what we're capable of. Spot on, Brad. Agree with that. And let's hope that there are no more slip-ups between now and the end of the season. Brad also adds to my point on the respect for Pioli growing for the job that he's doing. For sure, they respect the hell out of him at this point. We was one of the haters, I'll admit, but he's changed my mind. Professional even with all the rumours and much appreciated. Christoph says he's got to stay. If he does and gets a few good signings, Milan will be finishing the Champions League places next season. Seuss Lover 9 says with current squad he's doing a miracle. Preet Kumar Dubey says make a partnership between Pioli and Ranić, and many others. In fact, Calcio at SWT CFC, I have to admit I was sceptical at first, but now I've changed my mind. He's doing a brilliant job, but the amount of disrespect he gets is unreal. And the same comments were coming through from many of you commenting on the disrespect in terms of the rumours regarding Ranić and also the respect for Pioli for the job that he's doing for us currently. So just a real mix, but generally speaking, hats off to Pioli and hats off to the players for what was a brilliant an absolutely fantastic second half performance and comeback. Enjoyed last night, enjoy it today, soak it up, and make the most of what was a brilliant result. But back to business on Sunday. Napoli, another big game for us, and it's going to be absolutely decisive in our bid to try and finish in 5th or 6th place. So, as always, thanks for your comments on Twitter after the game. I appreciate it. I love having these conversations with you guys after games on social media. Like, subscribe, enjoy the video. I hope you've enjoyed the tactical elements that I've showed again today. At Milan Talk 1 on Twitter and Facebook for more reaction, milantalk.com for more reaction and opinion on various players and certain key talking points. But until Sunday, Forza Milan.